Hey everyone, TJ here with another topic for Cold War and Call of Duty as a whole, but this time hopefully it will enlighten some people. So, the idea is what makes a gun overpowered, or not overpowered, but like what makes a gun meta, what makes a gun good in Call of Duty, right? Because Call of Duty um, plays differently from a lot of other shooters, especially first person, and what drives people to COD, from my experience, again, I've played this franchise since what, COD 4, maybe COD 2, something like that, but the idea is I've played it for a while, so I've seen the meta, I've seen the community, I've seen like how people react and think about different games, different weapon categories and stuff. But at the end of the day, Call of Duty is dominated by assault rifles and submachine guns. You have some people running with shotgun only or LMGs, and snipers are like the least used thing, right? For the most part. Now, from game to game, you may have a meta assault rifle, meta SMG, meta LMG, meta like you'll have like one or two standout from weapons from each category. So if we look at MW3 was the ACR 6.8 with kick and suppressor and assassin pro and sleight of hand pro and marksman or stalker pro, one of those two. And the MP7 with again kick and red dot usually. In fact, was I think what I ran, kick and red dot, and whatever meta stuff. But the idea is, what makes guns good is entirely dependent on how the rest of the game kind of works around whatever guns are available, right? So if we look at Cold War being released in what 2020, right? So if we look at that, what guns here are considered meta? What is the meta of Cold War? At this point, it really doesn't matter because not that many people are playing Cold War, but those who are, people still play, people still enjoy it. My biggest gripe with Cold War is the disbanding lobbies and the score streak system, but aside from that, I still enjoy the game. It plays really well. The meta started off with pretty much for competitive circuit, it was the AK-47 and the Krig, because the Krig was the king of consistency. It was the recoil was going to behave the exact same for the first 10 bullets, so you could land those headshots, right? That was the thing with Krig. If you didn't get headshots with the Krig, it was the slowest killing rifle in the game at launch. Then it turned into the FARA drops, and it has the same TTK as the AK, but it has lesser it has worse mobility and handling stats, so it's pretty much a slower, bulkier AK, but still had a good fast fire rate. So that kind of didn't really change the meta, but it was if you like the time to kill the AK, but you want a faster fire rate, there you go. But you're going to trade off that faster fire rate with, kind of bulkier feeling movement, maybe a bit slower. And then as far as like the SMGs are concerned, pretty much the MP5 was the go-to SMG. It was considered the best gun in the game for a while because the SMGs had I think it was 100% movement at launch, and you had pretty good recoil, especially with you stacking the field agent grip. Because the MP5's biggest detriment was the horizontal kick, but you put a standard grip or field agent grip, you cut down the horizontal. Now it's just vertical. Now you can beam people across the map. Not as to the same extent as something like say like an LC10, but it definitely is competitive, especially with the MP5 having a 5-shot kill, where the LC10 has a 6, or has a 5-shot, but it's slower. Like it might be like a few frames slower, but it still is slower. So the MP5 was pretty much the go-to SMG. It was a lot of people put the MP5 as the best gun in the game at launch, and a close second was the M16 and the AUG, just because the power, the theoretical time to kill was unrivaled. There was nothing that can kill faster than the M16 or the AUG besides one-shot kills from the Hauer, or the Gallo, or the sniper rifles, and that was it. Pretty much MP5, AUG, MP16, and one-shot kill weapons. Now, at this point in the game, we've had, buffs, nerfs. Sorry, my side's itchy, and my arm. I don't know why. Everything got itchy all of a sudden. We have a buffs, nerfs. At this point, you can use pretty much anything you want. There's at this point, it's not a what gun's the best. It's a what guns should I not use, and I can use anything else, right? So like right now, I'm using the Grav a lot because I get the 50-round mag and a suppressor, and that's all I need. That brings me back to BO1 Galil days, my guys. Oh, I miss BO1. I miss old COD, but this is what we got. But I've been beating around the bush, like I've been talking about the meta, but what makes a gun good is the time to kill and the consistency. The magazine, the reload, the movement speeds, rate of fire time, ADS time, recoil, like all these factors coalesce into, is this gun good or bad, right? So if we take an example again from Cold War, the Milano has always been a underrated gun because it didn't have the fastest time to kill. It did not have the best fire rate. It didn't have the best bullet velocity, all these other stats. But at the end of the day, what made the Milano stand out was it had the best hip fire in the game. Then they nerfed that. They took that away. We don't know why, but they did. So now what does Milano do? Milano at this point, all it really does is like it has good damage per bullet, but that's about it. The time to kill is the slowest in the SMGs, aside from the PPSH, and it has some of the worst bullet velocity in the game. Like aside from that, it like aim down sights like a couple frames faster than everything else, but that's it. Like it pretty much, like what makes a gun bad isn't necessarily like the gun itself is not a bad gun necessarily. It's more so other guns around it just dominate when it comes to that gun, right? If I were to take a Milano, and in theory we have MP5, AK-74U, a KSP, maybe even a PPSH. If you have two people come around the corner, they both have the same sprint out time, they both start pulling the trigger at the same time. Anything else will probably kill you before the Milano, before you kill the person, or your opponent with the Milano, just because it's the slowest time to kill, and it's one of the least forgiving guns because that slow rate of fire. It's like, sure, that great damage might help you pick off people who are weak, but guess what? The PPSH might have the same or maybe tiny bit slower time to kill. I don't remember exactly time to kill, but that thing will kill you faster technically because you miss one shot, you have to wait for another like the other one to cycle. But that PPSH is spitting out like 3, 4, 5 rounds between your shots because you're shooting like 500 RPM. It's shooting at like 900, right? So it turns into, here's the meta gun, here's what makes it great, right? The ACR from MW3, it had like was it 3 or 4? It was the most shots it took to kill was a 4-shot kill across the map with no recoil, and you were invisible to all like detection based things, UAV, CUAV, EMP, thermals, trackers, all this other crap, and you had basically a 4-shot kill across the map. It didn't matter where they were, and cleanest irons, and I'm including the iron sights. The iron sights is a visual thing, sure, it's a sighted people thing, sure, but it is a factor. So basically, good iron sights, no recoil, stupid, consistent damage. It's not because like people think, man, I want the fastest fire rate, man, I want the highest damage per bullet. I mean, those, if you like that stuff, sure, but if you're looking for meta, it's what's the consistent thing? What's the thing that will work no matter what? All right. And if we look at Cold War right now, the AK-74U, to me, is my favorite SMG just because I love dump trucking damage. Because I just barrel stuff everybody that they just drop in 4 shots, and like people are like freaking out, like what the hell? Like I died so quick. It's because the AK-74U is stupid. But the point is, when you have something so good that it invalidates things around it, that's the meta. That's what becomes, the good gun in the SMGs. The bad gun in the SMGs is like, I don't want to touch you because I might as well just pick the other thing that's better than you, unless I really, really, really like the feel of that gun for some reason. And so at the end of the day, it's a multitude of factors. It's how does the game play around the guns and mechanics, but also what's the reload, mag size, inner sights time, are the iron sights clean, how's the recoil, what's the damage, what's the time to kill, what's the forgiveness rate, I guess, of your fire rate. How can you kit the gun? Can it be like a laser beam and you still have a suppressor? Like a whole bunch of different factors to where at the end of the day, I can recommend just pick whatever you like. Go ahead, do that. But it just really depends on the game. So I got really nothing else to close out this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time.